Hi guys, this is your Blender Buddy with a new tutorial. I'm going to give you a little tutorial on how to add a glare effect to your text. And the first thing I want to let you know is that I'm using Blender 2.64, and it's actually the 2.64a. It's the latest stable edition that Blender has out. In the next week or two, they're going to have out their next build or test build out. But anyway, for right now, I just want to show you how to add a glare effect to your text. So the first thing we want to do is escape out of the oh heck, what do you call that thing, your splash screen. And excuse me for the lapse of memory there, but anyway, it's called a splash screen. The first thing I'd like to do is select the cube, hit the X key to deselect or to erase the X cube. Boy, I'm starting out good in this tutorial. I guess I ought to hit the N key and turn on the screencast keys, so that way you can keep up with the keys that I'm pressing. That might help a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is first of all, we're in the front ortho view, and in order to read our text, as we add our text, we're going to have to rotate it about the X. So I'll show you what I mean now. We're going to go add text, and then we're going to hit the R key and then the X key, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Enter. And I guess what I'm going to do is kind of get this into the Christmas spirit, and I'm going to just say Silent Night, Holy Night. So the first thing I want to do is to just excuse me, my spelling. But anyway, I want to type in Silent Night here, and then I'm going to go back to the object mode, because what we need to do is keep both of our lines, the first and second line, two separate objects. So now we have one object, and if I deselect that, and with our cursor at the center here, I'm going to go ahead and hit add text again, and once again we have to go R about the X, rotate about the X axis 90 degrees, and then we have to go object, edit, and then we're going to erase that, and now I'm going to say Holy Night, and it's just first couple lines in Silent Night. And now we have, if I go back into object mode, you'll be able to see that we can click back and forth from Silent Night to Holy Night, which means we have two different objects. And let's the first thing I want to do here on the first line is we're gonna extrude this a point, let's just say 0.1, and then we're gonna have a bevel of 0.01 and a resolution of 3. And then we're going to select the second line, and once again we're going to do the same thing. We're going to extrude it at 0.1, and we're going to add a bevel of 0.01, and we're going to have a resolution of 3. And what I like to do, and this is just my personal preference, is I just want to center my text, and I'm going to do that for the second line as well. So now we have two lines. There's two lines of text, and they're centered. Now the next thing I need to do is add a little material, and I'm not going to do nothing fancy. I'm just going to turn up the diffuse light or material all the way, and I'm going to turn down the specular all the way, and I'm going to do the same thing for the second line. I'm going to turn up the diffuse color all the way, and I'm going to turn down the specular color all the way. So now that we have that, the thing we need to do is we need to move our second line into our second layer. And what I like to do here at this point is just hit Shift D, and I'm just going to move that lamp to the second layer as well. So on the first layer we have Silent Night and a lamp, and on the second layer we got Holy Night and a lamp. And I'm going to hit A to deselect the lamp. So now that we have that done, we have to come back over here under our properties panel, and we have to go into layers. And we have Holy Night on a second layer, but we have to create a render layer for it. So what we want to do is hit the plus sign, and we have our second. And what I like to do is just what we have to do is select our two scenes and then our second render layer. And once we've done that, we need to render this layer. So we'll go ahead and we'll render this layer. And it might take a minute because the Cam Studio recording software takes a little bit of a draw on my computer. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit the escape key to escape out of that. Then we're going to click on our first layer, and once again we have to do the same thing. We have to render that image. And now that we have that layer rendered, as soon as it gets done, we'll do just a little bit of compositing, and I promise you it's just a little bit. But I think the first thing I want to do is just center our camera a little better, and what I like to do is just hit 0 to go into our camera mode and select our camera. And as you can see, I have the thirds outline in here, and if I hit the G and the Z key and I just go up a little bit, I can kind of tell where I'm centered at. I'm just eyeballing this, and let's call this good here, and I'm going to hit the A key. And at this time it's always good to save, so I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm just going to just go in here and just call it just silent, just for the sake of the tutorial. Let me backspace that, and I'd really like to have these lowercase, but anyway, wouldn't have mattered. But anyway, let's just save it so we don't lose everything. So now that we have done that, we need to go into the compositor, and what we're going to do is just add just a little bit of compositing. We're going to turn on Use Nodes, we're going to turn on the backdrop, and what we need to do is we need to add an input render layer. And what we need to do is we need to click on this one and put our second render layer here. And now I'm going to move this over, and we need to add an output viewer node. And once we get that, we only need to add 2 more nodes. So I'm going to add a filter, and it's going to be a glare node. And then we also need to add a color mix node. I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm just trying to keep this short, but at the same time show everybody how simple it is to add just a little glare effect to their text. And we just want to connect these all together here. And right now we're just going to take a second, but my computer's thinking for a minute. Now it's done, so let me bring this down here, and I'm going to connect this here, and what I'd like to do is at this point turn the threshold down to 0 once my computer's done thinking. So we're going to turn this to 0, and we're going to make the mix we're going to turn our mix all the way up to 1. Come on, computer. My computer's just a little bit slow because of the Cam Studio software, but we'll be alright here in a minute. I think it just caught up, so I want to turn this all the way up to 1.0. And what I'd like to do also, once it catches up here, it won't take long, is I want to turn the iterations up to 5, and I want to turn my streaks up to 7. So it might give me a few seconds here for the computer to catch up. Bear with me here, just going to be a second or two. But anyway, this is basically all the compositing you really need. You don't need a vignette or anything because it's all black and everything. And you know, we're just adding some, actually all we're adding is some streaks or glare to our text. And there we go. And we want to turn that one up one more so that we have an iteration of 5, and I'd like to have a streak of 7 here. And once this is done thinking, we'll go back over to default mode and I'll show you the final render, and then we'll be done. But anyway, Cam Studio, the reason why I use it, I know it's not so much the software, it's my computer. My computer's it's not slow. I guess it is compared to computers nowadays. They've got some really awesome computers nowadays, but I was hoping to get through this tutorial with just using this one. And I think we'll be alright here in a second, so I just need for this to get done thinking right now, and then we'll be alright. There we go, and now I'm going to move over to default, and what I want to do is just render this one more time, and that will be our final render. And by golly, we made it through our tutorial, and it wasn't too bad, was it? I just wanted to show you how to add a nice little glare effect to your text or objects. It's really pretty simple. You just have to put it on a different layer if you want, unless you want to make the glare effect all the objects. If you just want to affect one or two of the objects, you have to create a second render layer and then do just a little bit of compositing like you saw there, and that's about all it is. And there's the final render of just the second line itself. If I escape out of that and come back over here into layers, come back into the compositing. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Now I know why it didn't show up. I was supposed to have adds. This here Blender color mix node is supposed to be add and not mix, and I'm glad I made that mistake, just so I could point that out to you, that we have to switch that from mix to add when making a glare effect. and it was kind of a good thing that I made that mistake, because that allowed you to see now you can kind of see in the background there what it should really look like. And I'll go back here and back into default and render this one more time, and now we'll get the final image. But see there, sometimes a mistake is a good thing, it's not always a bad thing. So once this renders out, which will only be a few seconds, you'll see the final render. And you can you can add colors. You can add a color balance in there, and you can make this glare effect be different colors. You can change the size of it. You can turn it into a star shape. You can add different amount of streaks to whichever type of star you like to see or whatever. But to me, I use it quite a bit, especially making sunsets or sunrises. Add a glare effect to the sun, or maybe you have an object that the sun might be bouncing off of. And there you go. There's our final render, and this is your Blender buddy saying goodbye, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now.